Yes, you guys, welcome back. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV, and today I'm going to be discussing the two biggest stories that have been doing the rounds today. For the first story, we have more updates surrounding Erling Haaland, courtesy of Sky Germany. So of course, you guys wait to hear what that story is. And of course, for the second, final, biggest story that came out today, we'll be discussing Marc Guehi, because Guehi is set to be signing for Crystal Palace on a permanent deal. Hear my thoughts and opinions behind this news. I'm going to be breaking down the pros and cons. I'm a very objective person. I hope you guys stay to the end to hear out some of my thoughts behind this news today. And of course, you guys, if you like today's video, if you're happy to see me back again as well, show us some love, show us some support. Smash that like button, and of course, get involved in the comments too. I feel we should start things off by discussing the latest news surrounding Erling Haaland. Now, this story has come courtesy of Sky Germany, and they've announced a story that we have made an official proposal to Borussia Dortmund involving cash plus either Hudson-Odoi or Tammy Abraham. Now, you might be thinking, right, this is it. Finally, after God knows how long, we have made a bid for Hold on a second, you guys. This isn't an official bid. This is an official proposal. This is essentially basically saying, listen, Dortmund, you know that we want to sign Holland. Before we make our first official bids, how do you feel about players like Tammy Abraham and Hudson-Odoi? Do you like them? Who knows, maybe potentially we can do a little bit of business. So again, it's nothing too crazy, and straight off the bat, if it involved Tammy Abraham, I would be happy with that, because I think Tammy would be playing for an excellent team that has that style of football that really complements him and would get the very best out of him. I think that'd be a great move for him. When it comes to Hudson-Odoi though, that wouldn't make too much sense for me. We can't be involving a player like him in a deal like this, considering that we've turned down 3-4 bids. A bid that we could have earned up to 70 million euros if we had sold him to Bayern Munich. So, Hudson-Odoi is definitely staying. I've been telling you guys from last season too that Tuchel has plans for next season. A lot of what we saw last season was circumstantial, it was contextual. It was based on the fact that Tuchel had no pre-season with the team. He wasn't with the squad for too much, and he had to find a way for the team to start winning and performing immediately. And of course, this is where the back three system, was born. And it was amazing for us, hence us winning the Champions League too. So I'm mentioning this point because Tuchel has long-term plans for many of the squad players right now, including Hudson-Odoi. He won't be playing as a wing-back forever, and as I've said before, expect to see him getting more minutes playing further up front as well. So it's a bit surprising why Callum would be involved. However, maybe Dortmund are looking at replacements for Sancho, and they want to spend big money on like a top quality option. So that's interesting to see. But I guess maybe if I could take a small positive from the story today, it's the fact that maybe this official bid is getting closer and closer and closer now. I'd like to think that once you place your official proposals, the first bid comes afterwards, and that bid will be important. Right now, both parties don't want to lose face of each other. They don't want to appear weak to each other as well. So timing is going to be key. It is going to be essential, as it always is whenever we're involved in signing players. So let's see what happens, you guys. I think it's an interesting update. However, let's not expect too much to come from this particular story at this point in time. We now end things with a breaking news for this afternoon, this early morning, and that's in regard to Marc Guehi, because he is set to be signing for Crystal Palace on a permanent deal. Now, rumours are suggesting this final fee could be between 50 million to even 20 to 25 million. Surprisingly, both clubs are keeping the exact fees and terms to their chests and keeping that a secret. No one knows right now. However, the reality is that Marc Guehi won't be a Chelsea player anymore. Guehi is set to sign a 5-year deal at Crystal Palace. Now, originally, we did not want to sell Guehi to begin with. However, we could not turn down the cash bid made from Crystal Palace. Of course, Guehi, with the season he had for Swansea last season in the Championship, tons of interest from across Europe, in the Premier League, in the Bundesliga, in France, etc, etc. And to give you guys a few examples, clubs such as Borussia Mönchengladbach, Leverkusen, Newcastle, Southampton, etc, etc. So many of them were all showing interest to sign him only on loan. And that was essentially the biggest thing, because at that time, if we were going to agree to allowing them to leave on loan, Guehi would have to commit to signing a new deal, which was something he was not looking to do. He only had 2 years left on his current deal, and of course with us, we like to safeguard our investments in the long term. So naturally, when Palace made a cash bids, we could not turn that down because number one, Guehi wants to be playing week in, week out. That is key for him. There's no way that you're one of the best defenders in the championship playing week in, week out to then have to sign for us and be in and out of the team. That is not doing anything for your development. Right now, Guehi joins alongside Elise and Crystal Palace's new manager in Patrick Vieira. I feel like it's going to be a very exciting project there. Vieira is known for his progressive style of football too. Elise's exceptional talent that was signed from Reading as well, and if they can keep Zaha plus other players too and wait for Eze to return back from his injury, Palace are looking like a very, very good team to follow for next season. I'll end this news by saying that Palace are also looking at signing Conor Gallagher, who happens to be very good friends with Mark Guehi, potentially on loan or possibly on a permanent too. So the reality is right now, you guys, that this summer there is going to be a massive club exodus. Players like Gallagher, Guehi, we've seen Tamori leave. We're going to be seeing Tammy Abraham leaving as well. Samir is going to be signing for a Premier League club next week too, courtesy of the Secret Scout from Twitter, plus the futures of Livramento, Bate, Pert Harris. These are players that are looking to leave, and right now they are training with the under 16s. That's not a good thing. They would be with the first team right now, playing under Tuchel. So it seems like these are players who are not committing their futures to the club because maybe they feel like right now there is no hope, there's no future, there's no pathways. I think that's definitely an interesting discussion to have. Right now I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions, and let's start off by seeing the pros. One of the realities right now is that we are stacked with defensive options. Of course, we have one of the best defenses in Europe. One of the best defenses. We saw how great they were. They took us all the way to a Champions League final, which we won. So, these players don't just get kicked out just like that. Another reality now is that Guehi will be getting football at a top flight level. For example, let's look at Ben White. Of course, he had a great season in the Championship before he then returned back from Leeds to then go back to Brighton, where, after playing one full season, he became an England international player. He was part of the Euro 2020 squad. And of course, this talk has gone all the way up because Ben White is worth more than Tamori and Guehi combined. So, of course, when you have the talent and the ability, you can't stifle that. You have to play and you have to get those minutes. So on paper, you can't turn down an opportunity like Crystal Palace, considering the ambition they have and the fact that you're staying in London and you're playing week in and week out. And for another pro to you guys, this is not necessarily the end for Mark Guehi, because in the deal, there was clauses inserted. There is a sell-on clause, meaning that, of course, if he was sold for like 100 million or 50 million, we would get a percentage of that profit. And of course, we have the right to match any bids in the future too. If Guehi does, I feel confident that he will fulfill his potential and, of course, do his thing. So, this is what football can be like sometimes. Of course, you guys have known that I've been a massive advocate for giving him minutes and using him and believing in him. You guys know how I feel about academy grads and why we should give opportunities to these guys. However, at the same time, I also want to see these guys have the very best careers they can have, and sometimes these difficult decisions have to be made. I think Guehi on paper made the right decision. I think that when you're so young as well, getting that's like your first professional season in the Premier League with a club like Palace, hey, I think that's definitely a good move and step for him, and I'm going to be excited to see how he progresses for next season. But of course, I do want to discuss a few cons as well behind this deal, and I'm sorry if you guys are hearing background noise behind me. Yeah, I gotta leave these windows open. My room gets so stuffy and humid and hot, and it's already hella hot as it is already. Apologies for that. But to discuss some of the cons, one thing I can't get out of my head is that we've sold Tamori and Guehi for less money than what Ben White could potentially be going to when he signs for Arsenal. I think that's a crazy amount. I don't care that White has got more first class minutes in the Premier League. That doesn't mean anything to me. If I was to say this, we saw Tamori have a good season with Derby, which was enough for him to get the minutes and to show why he's good enough to, play for us and of course play at a top flight level. I'd say that Guehi had a way better season at Swansea compared to what Tamori had at Derby, especially considering that he was such a key figure for that Swansea team and they were hoping to get promoted. So already that's showing me that maybe there is this improvement in play. And when you look at Guehi's game, this is a guy that can play in a 2 and a 3. He's one of those leading defenders that controls his back line. He's a guy the keeper passes to kickstart the next phase of the attack. That's the type of guy he is. And I look at our defense, and the reality is we have defenders that have not committed yet to signing new deals. We're looking at Rudiger. That's a very interesting situation that's still happening right now. And of course, when you look at your Thiago Silvas and your Azpilicuetas, can we confidently say that in the next year or two, they're still going to be, key parts of the team? Could we not have maybe found solutions to have kept Guehi with the club, or maybe just fast-tracked his progression into the team, knowing the fact that, listen, this future where all the defenders will get phased out, that will be happening very, very soon. If we have Guehi who's going to understand how Tuchel wants his teams to play, working alongside your Thiago Silvas and your Rudigers, and just gaining experience from these players as well in an environment which is very productive too, could we have not benefited from that maybe in the next year or two by keeping him? I think they're definitely fair things to discuss and to think about. For me, I've always had a fear sometimes with my club that, we prioritize the short term more than the long term, and the long term has a habit of biting us in the butt very, very soon afterwards. Right now, Guehi, Tamori, Giroud, that's brought in a combined 51 million. Plus, when players like Abraham, Simiyu, and many others do get sold on and moved on, Cobham's bringing in a ton of money for us to reinvest back into the team. And I don't know, that for me can be a little bit annoying, because a part of me feels like we will just have a future where we are strengthening teams for the cheap, for absolutely nothing, for free basically, by letting these guys leave very early on for very low fees. And I feel like clubs across Europe have clocked onto the talent we're producing now. That's why there's always a ton of clubs after all our players immediately, because of course if you can sign a Chelsea academy grad for like under 5 million, you know that in the next few seasons he's going to be worth 3, 5, sometimes even 10 times that amount of money. But to be honest, I can't help but feeling, okay, like how do some of these guys actually feel about their hopes of playing under Tuchel? I've said this before, but I don't say this in an angry way. I accept the reality of how football is and how the industry works, and there's nothing wrong with it. Tuchel has his own ambitions. He wants to be his own great manager. He understands that clubs like us, you're not going to be here forever for 5 or 10 years, meaning that you have to accelerate your work all the time, and you have to prioritize the now sometimes instead of the future when you don't even know if you're going to be here. So it's this continuing of this like chicken and egg situation when it comes to giving youth players an opportunity, because there's always the pros and cons, man. Always pros and cons. I get it. It's good that Guehi's moved on, but at the same time, for the fees going for and the fact that he hasn't been given any opportunities, knowing that literally in the next 12 months we're going to have a big defensive reshuffle because players will be leaving. So it's quite interesting. It really is. But naturally, of course, due to having to focus on his own short-term goals, it's going to not align with maybe the long-term hopes and plans of some of the academy grads, their families, etc, etc. So, of course, it creates situations where, naturally they'll have to go. And I think that's the best thing. I prefer that instead of what we used to, keep these guys on loan and just completely ruin their potential and their careers because we only focus on the money we could get from them for their loans instead of what benefits their careers in their future. So yeah, it's a sad one to take, of course. I know Guehi is going to be a leading defender in the Premier League for sure. It'll be exciting to see him play week in, week out at Crystal Palace, and of course, we can still always sign him back in the future because, as we've seen, we are never opposed to ever doing stuff like that, you guys. So of course, hard one to take, but from both parties and aspects, I get it. It makes sense for everyone in that case. And, let's look to see what we do now in the market. For me, I'm hoping that we're not going to sign any other defenders. I'd be pissed off now if we ended up selling, let's say, Zuma or Rudiger, and then we signed some 20-year-old from Germany or France. That would be, that wouldn't make any sense to me. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, you guys. On that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. I'm in EFC. This is Blue Lines TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.